We're back on the Nevcast with the continuation of last week's episode. Let's tune in.
Welcome to the Nevcast, where three bros talk business, art, justice, and the pursuit of Jesus.
Any day above ground is a good day.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and kiss 30 minutes goodbye with Peter Nevland,
Dave Nevland,
and Rashid.
I want to ask you something, Peter, about the book. When you talk about business growth,
yeah,
this is what I want to know. What I done learned in business is that too much business can really grow your business, and too much business, enough business can grow your business, and it can also kill it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you teach people how to, like, if you growing a business, because like, if, say for instance, if you go out here and you put up a ad and you say, all right, I do carpets for, let's just say $20 a room, when on the market it's going for $50 a room.
Right.
So all these people start calling you trying to get work from you, and they say $20 a room, but you only have, let's just say, 3 employees.
Right. Yeah.
To cover this work. So when you get all of this business and people calling you and booking 100 jobs, just say every week or something, but you don't have enough manpower to do that. So do you teach people in this book how to handle that? Like when you start growing stuff and you know, growing the business, how to deal with stuff in business, because business is complicated, man.
Sure.
I'm telling you, running a business is not easy. It's hard, man. So
well, that's
the thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that is a really good question, Rashi. You know, one of the things that, of course, Dave and I have always heard Roy say is that good advertising will kill a bad business much faster than no advertising at all.
Now, that definitely is in the book.
And yes, that's in the book. What is not exactly in the book, it's sort of obliquely in the book, is we don't tell people, okay, so when you encounter this situation where you're overloaded with too much work, first thing that you need to do is go out and hire these people, or you need to change your ads, do all this stuff. It's not that kind of a book. What it is first of all, as we talk about the character qualities that will keep you from getting into that situation in the first place, is that one of the things that we identify when the book changes and there's conflict there in the book, and when Roy says, we've had different metaphors this whole time, what he comes back to, he says, you're not looking for the idea that will be a success. You're looking for the person who will be able to not only be successful, but will be able to handle success.
Right.
So when you are a person who is, you know, in the metaphor of the book, a wiener dog, someone who the public's always interested in you, someone who has the commitment, the humility, and also the ability, and Roy puts it in the terms of purpose, identity, and adventure. Is that correct, Roy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, identity, purpose, and adventure.
Identity, purpose, and adventure.
So, who am I? Why am I here? And what's the problem to overcome?
That's right. And so when you have those things set in who you are, and you have commitment to something greater to yourself, you have the humility to understand when you've made a mistake, and then you also have the ability to then find a way to overcome your obstacle, that adventure. Well, then you become the kind of person who, when a problem like that arises, you find a solution, even if it means that you have to say that you're sorry, and then you have to start from scratch and build a better structure that's able to handle more business. And you go, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't advertise at that, you know, that offer unless I'm ready to handle all the business it's going to bring in, because I saw it brought a lot of business.
But I'm with you. I'm going to make this a little bit simpler for Rashid.
Yes, simpler.
You ask a very straightforward question, Rashid. Peter's book about wiener dog marketing is talking about the idea that will bring in a lot of customers. And then I started saying, well, it's also about the person. The wiener dog is the person who can actually do the stuff that needs to be done. So let's look at those as two separate ideas. Number one, it sounds like in your example, you found out a way to acquire new customers.
Right.
See, so getting new customers It's what is the thing that holds most people back. They can't figure out how to get enough customers. Well, in your story, man, you figured out a way to get all the customers you can handle, and your problem's not getting new customers. Your problem is being able to deliver what it was those customers were promised.
That's right.
And so you got a whole different thing holding you back. So most people, Rashid, they have the opposite problem. They just can't get enough customers. Well, I'm saying, no, man, I know how to get customers. Where I'm struggling is now I got to deliver what I promised those customers. So what it comes down to is, are we making enough money on those rooms to pay the people that are doing the room? Or is it something that we're doing just to try to get a new customer? Is there actually a profit to be made in cleaning that room for $20 a room?
Right.
Or is there no profit to be made? Because if there's no profit to be made, then you got to quit doing that. Because you're going to get a bunch of customers that's going to keep wanting every room done for $20. And if there's no profit in it at $20, then you don't want to get caught in that trap. Okay.
Right.
And you can say, hey man, we thought we could do it for $20. We can't. Sorry. We're not going to be able to come out. And so, like I said, being able to admit you made a mistake, said, I thought I could do it for this much. Turns out we did a bunch of these and I lost a whole lot of money. It just can't be done for that price. Now, learning a lesson is not a bad thing. Learning a lesson is a good thing. But when we were talking about adventure, Rashid, we were talking about what is it that I have to overcome? What is the thing that I have to defeat? What is the thing that I have to win? You know, I got this mountain. How am I going to climb it? And that's an adventure. And so anytime you're having an adventure, it's because you're facing some kind of trouble. There is no adventure without trouble. If there's no trouble, there's no adventure.
That's absolutely true.
This is a funny one. This is a funny one. They say, every person who is safe at home wishes they were having an adventure. And every person having an adventure wishes they were safe at home.
That's right. That's right.
That one.
So right now,
That's right.
Right now, in the story that you told, your adventure is trying to figure out how you can get enough people to show up and clean these rooms and make a profit at $20 a room.
Right.
So if there's a profit to be made at $20 a room, if there's a profit to be made, then all you have to do is solve the problem of recruiting and training a bunch of people that will, in fact, show up and do what you taught them how to do. That's the new challenge.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's deep right there. That's real deep right there. The ones who are in the street wish they was at home. That's the way I'm just saying it in my own way.
I used to say, whenever I was working at Motorola, I used to say that people who work in a cubicle dream of a life of adventure and freedom, and people who are living a life of adventure and freedom dream of a steady paycheck.
Well, I mean, in the other ways is that when bankers get together, they talk about art. When artists get together, they talk about banks and money, how to make money.
They talk about money, yeah.
That's right. So I'm going to come back to the book a little bit more. So it's interesting. We started off with saying that you have to have an idea that the public already cares about. And then we determined that you have to be the kind of person who can guide or who can deliver and execute on the promise that you've promised the public, so that you deliver what people actually care about, so that their experience matches up with what you promised.
Yeah.
But then there's one other thing.
Oh, and that's another aspect of the cheating, seeing a person that is going to be able to do that.
That's right.
Before they're actually fully doing it. That's another aspect of the cheating. But okay, so keep going.
Yeah, right. So you are trying to identify the person who will be a success.
Yeah.
And then the next part of it is about getting somebody on your side who will actually be your partner, your ally with you, to help tell your story better than you could tell it. And I thought that was a really interesting part of the book, it really actually changed a lot of things in the way that I view life beyond just business. Even was this idea that it's in the book. The chapter of that book is called "Wiener Dogs and Magical Storytellers," And, you know, I thought we started getting into it. And as we were talking about it, I asked Roy, because it sounded like we were talking about basically, you know, purple unicorns and flying rainbows or something like that. And I said, are you cool with the fact that we're talking about wiener dogs and magical storytellers? Yes, and Roy, you were like, yeah, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm not too, but I thought that was interesting that you can't, if you're a business owner and you're getting someone to advertise who you are or the things that you can deliver and stuff, you actually have to have somebody who's as good as you in order to telling the story as you are at delivering the product or service.
Yeah.
And if you are someone who's a fantastic storyteller, you have to have a client who is just as fantastic at delivering on their product or service as you are at telling a story. Otherwise, you're basically unequally yoked, right?
Peter, I agree with that entirely. And I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
You know Joe Ben.
Oh, Joe Ben Combs.
Yeah, and Adrian Van Zetten.
Yes.
Well, both of those are my CPAs.
Yes.
We've got two CPAs, and we always sit down and we have a meeting with all of us. And we do that once a month. Now, here's the thing. What I'm talking about is self-improvement. There's this weird idea in America that when you're not very good at something, then you should probably get better at that. I'm going, why? Why do I need to get better at bookkeeping? I can hire Joe Ben and Adrian.
Yeah, that's right.
They're real good at it. They're extremely good at it, and they love doing it. And I don't have to understand it or be able to do it. I just have to find people that I'm absolutely certain understand it, can do it, and will do it. And I want to have them in my life because I like both of them.
Absolutely.
And so that's the only thing you're looking for. You find what is it that's holding me back? Now, if it's something that I'm not good at that's holding me back, I have to find somebody who's really good at that I would like to have in my life. And do I like this person enough that they become an ongoing part of my life? If the answer is yes, and if they're really, really good at something, then I believe what they're good at is the thing I'm not good at, and that's what's holding me back. That's my limiting factor. Then you just do what it takes to put that person on your team and let that person do what they're really good at and what they love doing. And then I don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's no longer holding me back.
That's right. That's right. I remember. I love that, Roy. I had recently. I have some issues with my skin where my immune system gets overexcited and attacks my skin, and so I get eczema from that. And so I've been on this search to find a doctor who could help me solve this problem without just saying, "Well, here's some steroids. Just take some steroids." And as you can tell, I haven't bulked up from all these steroids that I've put on my skin. But anyway, so this doctor, I'm going to this doctor, and he's trying all these things, and some of them are sort of working, but then he starts doing stuff, and the guy, I think he almost killed me, because he gave me so many things that were supposed to help me get better, and I had this attack in the middle of the night when I was home with 2 kids at the time, which I now have 3, but I was home with 2 kids. Vicky was away, and I had what felt like, I guess it was probably something similar to fibromyalgia, where it felt like 1,000 fire ants stinging me in every joint every 3 seconds. It was so bad I couldn't hardly type out help on the keyboard to this doctor. And so he called me. I made it through the morning, and he called me in the morning, and he got me some steroids to help calm it down and realize that he had made this huge mistake. And so I went back to him, and he said, he asked me this question. And he was like, "So what do you feel like, in your body? What does your gut tell you that sort of like we should do next as a course of treatment?" And I was kind of like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're supposed to be the doctor, and you're asking me what I think we need to do next?" I'm like,
buddy,
I'm punting.
Medical school before we got to that part.
That's right. I'm punting on you. And so I got rid of him, and I found another doctor who is far better. This guy started explaining things that I didn't know. He was good at something that I was not good at. And I'm like, oh, finally, a doctor who actually thinks and is smart. It's like, if I'm smarter than the doctor, I have to get rid of the doctor and find a doctor who is smart at what they are, far better than me at what they're good at.
Yeah.
Who can do things, it's like, and I think that's true for whether you're in business, whether you're in art. If you're an artist, you have to have a manager or someone who's your booking agent or something like that, an agent who is going to be better than you are at booking shows and at setting up gigs and stuff. If you don't have that, you've got to punt. You've got to find somebody who's equally up to the task.
Peter, doctors are exactly like every other profession.
Right.
And the thing you always have to remember is that 10% of all doctors graduated in the bottom 10% of their class.
Well, that's true. Yes.
And whenever you say 10% of all advertising people are not as good as 90% of advertising people. And so you sit up and, am I dealing with the top 10 or 20% of the profession? Or am I dealing with the middle 10 or 20%?
Right.
Or am I dealing with the bottom 10 or 20%?
Right.
Because just because they have the certification, just because they have the degree, just because they have permission to practice, let's just say that some of those need a whole lot more practice than others.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I've had the exact same observation, but it's not just doctors, it's lawyers, it's people that mow lawns.
Shoot, your pool guy.
That mow lawns that do a much better, the pool treatment guy.
That's right.
It's like there are people that are just way better at what they do than their peers. And so, finding the person that's really good at it, that you actually like the person, you enjoy the person, you would like to have that person in your life.
In your life, that's right.
Because listen, when you're going to have an ongoing relationship, do you look forward to seeing that person or do you not?
Right. Yeah.
You need to look forward to seeing them. So,
Roy,
this is a real simple thing, but it took me a lot of years to figure it out.
Isn't that funny?
But so, Roy, do you find that out mostly from talking to people on the phone or from somehow sitting down with them and meeting face to face? I mean, does that happen on the phone and then you're like, oh, now I want to meet with you face to face? All right. I mean, when do you actually find this out and make and figure out whether they're wiener dogs or not?
Here's the thing, Dave. I wish I could answer that as asked. But somebody the other day, somebody asked me a question. It really stumbled me. They said, whenever you met this person, and the person that they were asking me about was sitting there next to me, it was Jeffrey Eisenberg. And they said, when you met Jeffrey, how did you know that you guys were going to be good friends?
Well,
and I said, I have no idea. I have no idea. I said, when you talk to somebody, whether it's by email or whether it's over the phone or whether it's face to face, there's one of two things happen. Well, one of three things. Either it's like, man, I want to get away from this person.
Yep.
This is really uncomfortable and I'm not enjoying this. Or it's like, you forget about having encountered that person 2 minutes after you walk away from them. There just was nothing there. And other times, you just have a sense of, that was interesting, that was fun, that was, pleasant. And so I don't know what it is. I don't know how it happens, but you just know there comes a moment, not necessarily the very first time you talk to somebody, but we were talking earlier about Joe Ben Combs.
Yeah.
Okay. When I knew that I liked Joe Ben?
When was that?
I knew I liked Joe Ben whenever he was still, I think he was in high school, and he would play the drums at
Hope Chapel.
It was actually Hope in the City.
Oh, okay.
But he's a remarkable drum player, and he plays drums with such authority and enthusiasm.
It's true.
Yeah.
He plays drums with enthusiasm, and he has more joy in playing the drums than I've ever seen in any drummer in my life.
Yeah.
I wanted to know Joe Ben. I've never spoken a word to him, and he didn't even know I existed in the world.
Right.
But I'm watching him play drums, and I always enjoyed, hey, Joe Ben's playing drums today. And I said, I love that guy. So when I found out he became a CPA, I said, I'll bet you he's a really good CPA. You know why? Because whatever he does with authority and enthusiasm. And I was right.
Yeah.
Turns out he practices accounting exactly the way that he plays drums. And so I don't know how I knew, but that's just kind of the way that you know. You know what I mean? You just have a sense of connection or a sense of admiration or a sense of, I guess, you know, when you encounter a person and you look forward to seeing them again. That's all. That's the only way I can put it.
You know, Dave.
It's like all of you. I always enjoy all three of you guys.
Thanks, Roy.
Right. Thank you.
Dave, I know you asked Roy that question. Do you mind if I take a crack at that? Because I have a little slightly different angle.
Wait, Peter. So, no. Peter, how do you know when, let me just ask you, how do you know when it's a person that's a wiener dog? You know, do you get it when you call them on the phone or when you sit down with them face to face? Or do you do it when you like see their, you know, their profile on Facebook?
Well, there's some of combination.
I didn't ask Roy that Facebook thing because I know he doesn't do that.
Sure,
and you're doing it all the time.
No, I don't.
Bill, that's you. No, yes, you are.
Okay, apparently in secret, I'm doing it when I don't even realize that I'm doing it, and you're watching me, which is sounding strange right now.
Yeah, that's something that you would do to me. Sorry, that wouldn't happen. You're right.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I don't think that you can. It's not a whether you're on the phone or whether you're in person, kind of like Roy was saying. But I think of it kind of like when I'm writing one of my pieces, a poem, or writing a piece of a song or something like that. And sometimes when you're writing something, you feel great about it when you're writing it. That's like the same as meeting someone for the first time, and you just think they're going to be awesome friends. And you go along like that for a little while, and then at some point you find out something about them when you're like, oh, I thought we were going to be awesome friends. And I thought you were a wiener dog, but it turns out that you're not because you have this significant flaw that I can't stand and that can't be overcome, and we're going to have to end this. I've had clients like that. Yes. Where I thought at the beginning,
getting a little scared about the friendship part of it, but yes,
you clearly are. Yeah, okay, the friendship. Well, but that happens. That happens sometimes with friends.
It's true.
It's true. Let's
be
real.
We don't admit it as much.
No, we don't like to admit it, but it's true.
A little more clinical with the business, owners.
Okay, it's easier to say go hide under a rock than it is to a friend. Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
Right.
But so I've met people where I thought, hey, this person has the stuff. They're clearly successful. I can tell their story, all these things. But then on down the line, there was a significant flaw that they had that couldn't overcome. And that, I would say that's a piece that it's like when I'm writing a piece, it's like I was real excited about it, but then I came back to it later and I looked at it and I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
This was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
This is not good at all.
Or how do you know when it's finished?
And then there are some, right? You meet these people and you think they're going to be great. And it turns out that that you have some moments where things that are even more important to you that you can't figure out, things like loyalty or things like trustworthiness or things like the ability to admit a mistake, right? And you see something like that in them, and that cements it. That makes it a long-lasting relationship, and from that point on that's actually when this is going to be a long-term friend. And then there are some that you meet and initially you don't like. And that's the piece that you start writing and you feel terrible while you're writing it. You're like, I have no talent. I'm terrible right now. This is coming out awful. This isn't going to be any good. And I'll come back to some of those pieces later on and look at them and I was like, what was I thinking? This is amazing. Who snuck in there and changed this? And sometimes you meet people and your original meeting with them, they may tick you off. And you might think they're really not great. And I know, Roy, you've had some people who have come and asked you to work with them.
Oh, yeah.
And you've said no to them. And they come back and kept asking. Finally, they ask you a question. You're like, oh, you know what? I think I am going to work with you. And that turns out to be great.
Yeah.
And I've had some people turn out to be like that, whether it's clients or whether it's friendships, where I thought at the beginning, no, but something inside me was going, just stick with it for a little bit and see what happens. And I stuck with it, and then it turned out a little bit later, they did something that I was like, I didn't see this. I was blind to how awesome this person was. It turns out this person was really great. So I think that sometimes, as Roy says in the book, it gets easier the more that you do it. That you learn to trust that, either trusting your gut or to recognize the obvious things that cause people to be someone that you really are going to like spending time with and like working with, and you know that you're going to be a success together. It gets easier the more that you do it. but sometimes it doesn't become obvious right away.
True.
That makes
Absolutely
sense.
True. Peter, what you were talking about writing, this was 1997.
Yes.
And Ray Bard was asking me for 7 new chapters for The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yes.
My first book.
Right.
And I said, Ray, you can't just tell me you want me to write 7 chapters and you tell me the 7 different things these chapters need to be about. That's not how it works. First, it just comes to you.
That's
and then
right.
you get in the zone, and then he goes, yeah. So he's brilliant. He's devastatingly brilliant, and one of my very best friends in the world. And he's old enough to be my dad. And so I was like, golly, I was in my 30s, and he was in his, late 50s, early 60s. And he said, boy, let me explain something to you. He said, a good writer is always a good writer. They're a good writer no matter what they're writing.
That's right.
They can't keep from being a good writer. And he said, when you love something you wrote, and then when you hate something else that you wrote, the public doesn't feel that way.
That's right.
About those two things. Only you feel that way.
Mm.
And he says, whenever you love something, you're remembering how you were feeling when you wrote it.
When you wrote it.
And he says, and when you hate a piece of writing and you think it's terrible, you're simply remembering how you were feeling when you wrote it. And he said, but believe me, even though you're going to hate writing this, and even though you believe these are going to be terrible chapters, he said, I promise you, 5 years from now, you're going to pick up that book. And he said, probably you won't read it for the first 5 years after it comes out because you'll be so sick of that book. By the time it's finally published, you won't read it for 5 years. The truth is, Peter, Dave, Rashid, it was 7 years before I ever read that book.
Right.
And when I read that book, 7 years later, like 1980 or 2005, I said, hang on, I don't remember writing this. This is great. This
That's right.
Really good stuff.
Isn't that right? That's amazing. Yeah.
Who wrote this?
I said, what? And then I said, hang on a second. Ray Bard told me that I wouldn't read it for about 5 years, and that's when I calculated it to actually be 7. And he told me that I would not be able to find those 6 chapters that he made me write, or 7 chapters. And I said, let me see if I can find them. And I couldn't. I could not find any chapters that I was ashamed of. I couldn't find any chapters that I thought were terrible.
Yeah.
But I remember when I wrote those chapters and gave it to him, I thought it was the most embarrassing, horrible, derivative, just absolute terrible stuff I'd ever written in my life because I didn't use the process I normally use. And so that idea of, same thing with people. You meet somebody, you're just in the wrong mood to meet that person. Or you're thinking the wrong thoughts, or you made the wrong assumption. Well, if the person just keeps showing up, they just keep coming back, and you get more and more exposure to them, there comes that moment you described, Peter.
Yeah.
That moment of realization, this is a totally different person than what I thought they were.
Wow.
Now,
Right.
that's very often not that the person is doing anything different. It's just that you're in a different frame of mind.
That's right. Well,
and as we wrap up this episode, are you sick of this book, Peter?
No, I'm not. But I thought what Roy was talking.
Rashid was going to say something.
Yeah, Rashid, what were you going to say?
Rashid was going to say something.
No, I was listening to Mr. Williams, man. I love it. I always love to hear him speak, man. I'm listening to him.
Well, I
don't figure out what y'all was talking about, though. I'm sitting here lost for a minute, but what I'm figured out what y'all talking about is grabbing the person that's the underdog and making them into success. Is that right or wrong?
Pretty
much. Yeah. And
somebody and you pull them up to your level. You find somebody and you pull them up to your level, and that person will love you, and they're very likely always going to have your back.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what else it speaks to, Rashid, is that when you are talented, when you realize you have the qualities to be a success, it's more important to be committed to that success than it is to be passionate at any one moment. Your passion will come and go, but your commitment will actually help to build your passion over time. And we bring that out in the book too. And so I think, you come back to, if you want to check out Wiener Dog Marketing, find it. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble, Walmart, all those different places, anywhere you want to find it online. I don't know if it's in the physical stores yet. Probably not. It's probably just on online sellers, but you can find it just about anywhere. But check it out. It really is a book to help you challenge yourself and say, hey, where are the places where maybe I was going to be successful. I just quit too early. And maybe to re-spark some of that commitment, the decision to say, what do I care about and what is the public going to care about that I need to stay committed to even when times get tough, and to follow through on it? And who do I need to get in my corner to help encourage me along and to partner with me that's going to be an equal partner in making this happen? I mean, hey, that's what we have here on this podcast with the Nevcast, with Dave, you, me, and Rashi. Yeah. We all encourage each other through life and on this podcast. And
just like our podcast, this book says Wiener Dogs and Marketing, but it's not devoid of spirituality. Absolutely. We didn't really bring that up, but it's all in there.
Well, yeah. You could, God can speak through anything.
You can't separate that.
He can speak through a Wiener Dog marketing book.
It's true.
So, okay, I've enjoyed my time with you guys, as always.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Roy.
Thanks for listening to the Nevcast.
Absolutely. See you, Rashi.
Yeah, one love, bro. Love y'all.
One love, that's right. Adios.
That's it for the Nevcast this time. Join us next week when we talk justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. We will see you soon.